from my time that could tell you that it's a long time back, and we do really try hard not to be repetitious too much. But if called upon, I think that we do have an obligation, and it's not just because there are Marines in this group present, but we do, as a civilian who operated during war times in military situations, I think I have an obligation to reflect on the extraordinary contribution, if you can put it that way, that young men, a great number of men in their teens and 20s, and of course the officers who go into just a few years more, how much they contributed to our country. I say our country. The fighting that they did there, and I just feel it would be out of place for me to go into how that battle went and what I saw and so forth, because you surely have read ample material on that, and you certainly have had it drilled into you by your drill instructors along the way. But the times of, and that time is my time, in the 40s, not how long ago, more than 6 decades ago, the extraordinary times that the world found itself in. And the great danger of that, the United States of America was in a position that there was danger that it might not survive. And that was what motivated the attitudes of young men going into the service at the call of their country, and where they went through very rugged training, they still do, and when called upon, gave it's a terrible expression, a terrible use of the English language, but they gave their utmost. And it was in doubt for some time. And eventually, after a long period of time, America was in the war over 3.5 years. Great losses of our youth. They made history. They were brought up on history of their units, their organizations. In doing so, they created history for future organizations of military, Navy, Army, Coast Guard, you name it, Marine Corps. Marine, which gives the exploits of the Marine Corps are very special. I don't have to go into what hand-to-hand combat looks like, or try to describe a mortar attack or artillery attack on groups, and how that leaves our men, our boys became men very fast, how it leaves them bodies torn in pieces. Sometimes you would not be able to locate enough to establish a body of a person. And the extraordinary acts of bravery. Some of you can realize, because you have friends who are close to the action, can you imagine a person flinging himself onto a grenade just in order to save companions, buddies around him? The word buddy, I have to go like that because it has a special meaning in the Marine Corps that it doesn't seem to have anywhere else. But the training and the automatic reaction to do those acts of bravery, and there were many of them. Now, all right, we're familiar, and the name of Iwo Jima has come up, but there were many such battles in the Pacific. Peleliu was just as violent. It wasn't as widespread. Guam was a larger island, and it had its many acts, response to what was called upon to advance. I have to guard myself from being boring about repeating what went on. But take any single act in life. And yes, it was so pungent that it got the recognition in the highest departments of our country. And take one, because it seems to have become the more familiar example of a rugged battle. Take one. Iwo Jima, 27 Congressional Medal of Honor were awarded. Among them, a good number of them that were awarded posthumously. The acts that were performed were so outstanding. It boggles my mind still to try to straightforwardly tell it without becoming more aroused myself as I try to do it. The battle entailed somewhat upwards of, 80,000 of our troops, which were, of course, needed in order to conquer 21,000 extremely well-embedded enemies who had prepared for months or even a couple of years, a defense that was never encountered anywhere. The caves and caverns that went for stories, several stories in the underground where enemy troops could disengage, show up at another part of the island with supplies. Probably the greatest Japanese general in history. Made the defenses and conducted a war that was originally estimated by our most knowledgeable people as perhaps taking less than a week to conquer this island, but it took 5 weeks of torturous moves and great loss of men. We lost nearly 7,000 of our men killed, something like 20,000 casualties, and some of them horrible wounds. Now, and I'm sorry I just sort of drifted into talking about a part of this that I didn't really want to, because I know that you have, I'm sure that you have a fair idea of what that was like. Books have been written, and there are more books being written today. And I'm sure that Marines appreciate reading their history, and it bolsters their commitment to try their utmost to live up to the kind of conduct of those boys, men, who preceded them. And in so doing, I just wanted to, really, all I wanted to say was that I'm sure that today's Marines, when they show their pride in their uniform and they polish their buttons, and unlike a lot of characters I'm familiar with, would never think of going out in public unshaven. But I make the excuse for myself. I was a civilian there. And what the hell was I doing there? Because I was a photographer, a news photographer. My opportunity to cover an area which was the greatest story of the day. And newspapermen are like that, I suppose. I was like that. Would I do it again? Don't ask me. And of course, the Marines who were doing what I try to describe, what they were doing, would turn to me when I was able to jump into a foxhole or catch my breath and then decide what the hell am I doing here. They would say to me, "You mean you don't have to be here?" And then right away I was labeled for the member casualty. But nevertheless, it was not what I would call an enjoyable assignment that I got, but it was one that I was a mixed feeling. Happy that I got it to personally witness what was being done by the people who knew how to do it. I suppose a lot of you like to watch a plasterer at work, or a bricklayer, even a street sweeper who seems to be doing a good job. Well, it's much, much more than that, but all necessary occupations. So, those Marines saved the day, and in a sense, they also saved our country for us, even up to including today. And I know that the reading of their exploits or the listening to any references to them will create more patriots that would be willing to go out there and do that kind of a job when it seems necessary to do it to preserve our democracy. I'm very thankful for Marines.
Thank God Almighty that you were, because you came up with the best war photographer.
I just want to add that the picture, this may not got out of there with the help of Marines too. That was the best part.
Thank you, Joe.